welcome to the 20th Cinema on the Bayou Film Festival, day 14. We have, it's Sunday, and we have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday left, and a full slate of films, both here at Cité des Arts and at Saint Landry Cinema today. But today, right now, we've got a panel of distinguished folks who run or have run really important film festivals in Canada. And then I know we have some seasoned filmmakers here in the audience from both Canada, United States, and Europe. And we absolutely want feedback from you all based upon your festival experiences as filmmakers, attendees, etc. But let's start with telling you what we look for as festival programmers, that sort of thing. So you all want to introduce yourselves?
My name's Bill, Olivier Bilodeau, but everybody calls me Bill because of my last name. So I always make the bad joke that only my mom and the revenue agency calls me Olivier. So you're welcome to call me Bill. I'm the founder, the co-founder, and I used to be the director of programming of the Quebec City Film Festival, which is, as its name says, a film festival in the city of Quebec. We founded it in 2011. It's still going on. I stopped working for the festival in 2019 was my last edition, just before everything went, all hell broke loose. And we were a generalist festival. We showed everything because we were the only one in Quebec City. So narrative features, narrative short, experimental, documentary, feature, shorts, everything. International, national. So it was about, now they reduced it to 4 days, but when I was there, it was between 10 and 12 days. Yeah, and that was a bit too long, but it was hard on the team. A 12-day festival, it's really hard on the team. And so we showed approximately 300 to 350 movies.
Okay.
And we also did retrospectives and tributes. And we had an outdoor screening where we showed like popular and kind of blockbusters in the outdoor screening for free for people too. I don't know if anyone has ever been to Quebec City, but it was right outside the wall. It's, the old Quebec is a walled city, so just right outside the wall. So I had my screen
on the wall
right behind there. So it was a beautiful setting for outdoor cinema. So
I will say that Pat and I went there twice, and that plaza area was so beautiful. And we watched, is Pat in? Yeah. We watched when all of these people in heavy clothes, because it was cold, got up and danced to John Travolta on the screen. Saturday Night Fever.
It was hot.
It was.
I think you know that Bill. That filmed it there. Here we go.
yeah.
I want to recreate that here. I saw it.
We don't have a plaza in old buildings like that.
Yeah.
So one last thing you should know about that festival is Quebec City being primarily, 99% French speaking. So we had half of the programming was in French and the other half was in any other languages, but we had to subtitle everything.
Cool.
So even if your film was not available with French subtitle, we had made a deal with the university for people in the language program to subtitle the movie. So
Nice.
and we gave them for free after that in exchange of not charging us for screening fees, because we also paid screening fees. But that's about it.
My name is Maryse Arsenault. I'm the director of program at FICFA. It's the Festival International de Cinéma Francophone en Acadie. So we're like in Acadie of the Eastern Canada region. And so we do francophone programming, or it's more like francophone adjacent. Like, so if we have international films that are from Senegal or just any other country that has a French connection, we will show them with subtitles in French, because for us too, it's for our French public. But we also, we're smaller than what Bill was going to say. We're a kind of the same size of a city as Lafayette. So, and our program is on 6 days now. It used to be 10 or 9 days. So it's much smaller. I feel like all the shorts that you're able to show, like, we have to be very selective of what we show. Just it compared, we have competitions for the features, so that takes up a lot of space. So we have 3 or 4 programs of short films. So it's tough to decide which films I can, take on. Yeah.
I can just jump in. My name is Melanie. I'm the director of the same festival. FICFA is a festival that was founded in 1987. We're preparing our 39th edition in November. And, like New Brunswick, the province where we live in Canada and where we're based, is the only officially bilingual province, with a majority of people speaking English and about 30 to 40% of the population speaking French. So the festival was created because there was the need for the population and to have access to content in French, because it's not happening in the commercial cinemas. So that's why we have this strong mandate toward the French language. And I mean, we've evolved since then, so that's why we also include other languages that are like, it's to showcase the diversity of the Francophone space, like the language is everywhere. It's mostly a colonial language, so it's a way for us to show that within the Francophone space, there's Arabic, there's indigenous languages, there's Creole. So that's why the festival started, and that's how we've evolved. It's also a generic festival, so feature, documentary, short, long, experimental as well. We also have a media arts component with exhibitions and special events. And it's a competitive festival, so we give out prizes for best international feature, best documentary, etc. And it's about, as Maryse was saying, it used to be 9 days, so usually it ranges from 60 to 100 films that we select for the festival.
So I'm the programmer for Cinema on the Bayou with Pat Meir, who founded the festival in 2006. And you're welcome to talk about how it got founded. But in any case, the short story is it was founded after Katrina shut down New Orleans and the New Orleans Film Festival in the fall. And there was the National Film Board of Canada had intended to screen the premiere of Andre Gladou's film Maroon at the New Orleans Film Festival. That couldn't happen. New Orleans was essentially not functioning after Katrina. And so Pat was asked and agreed to show it here and started Cinema on the Bayou in 2006. So we're always interconnected with Katrina. And even to this day, we get Katrina-related or adjacent, if you will, films, because that was such a powerful impact. And I think about it as we see what's happening in LA, that
LA part here.
we have a sense of what they're going through because of Katrina.
Maybe next year you'll get films about the
The snowstorm.
Well,
The snowman.
that's still too raw. This 10.5 inches of snow in Lafayette is a little raw for us right now. Okay. And But in any case, I met Pat at the first Cinema on the Bayou. And here we are.
You really have to tell that.
I knew it. She wanted to.
I think it's a good story. Because my friend Melissa Bonin, who's an artist, said, let's go. A friend of mine, Pat Mears, started a film festival, let's go. And we went, and of course, afterwards, we all go to some bar where there's music and we're dancing, and Pat starts hitting on me, of course. But he said, I want your number. And I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, this guy's cool. He's a filmmaker. He started a film festival. Very good looking.
Very
He was
charming.
very young, as was I. And then the next thing I know, I'm trying to figure out, do I have paper and pencil in my little purse? He's gone hitting on some other girls. So I'm like,
True Louisiana fashion.
whatever, this is just whatever. But then he tracked Melissa down. He didn't know my last name. He didn't know how to find me I'm an attorney in the attorney's yellow pages. And she said, can I give Pat Mears your number? I said, yeah, I guess so, And then he called and said, well, I want to do a film on folk justice. Can we talk about folk justice? Which he later said was sort of a line, but
So it's still happening.
it worked. And then we have a film now on
Shit,
folk
10 years
justice, which
later.
premiered at their festival.
Yeah.
But what happened, I didn't know anything about film festivals. I didn't know anything about films. I'm a lawyer. So I learned a lot from Pat, and over time, it just grew and evolved and exploded. And we have all these connections, particularly in Canada, both English Canada and French Canada, but especially French Canada. And then we've developed connections throughout the world, mostly word of mouth because we're purely volunteer. It went from 4 days, that's what it was originally, right, Pat, to 8 days. And we're, Pat, and so we've done as many as 200 films, which is crazy for volunteer festival. And so now we're trying to keep it at 150, and it's been a totally organic. Over time, it's developed that our narrative shorts are just our baby, So we emphasize that and give them a lot of space, and we, as long as y'all keep sending beautiful, wonderful narrative shorts, we're going to keep doing that because we love it, and
All categories, we get a lot.
yeah, wonderful animated films, feature,
Amazing.
but because of the emphasis on narrative shorts, we really are very, very narrowly selective on feature docs and narrative features.
Venues and time, rush time, y'all face the same thing. You always should. How many?
And we have limited venues here. It's a big problem.
In programming, you can only program so many long films.
So we love short films, just to say, even doc shorts, of course, experimental shorts and animated shorts. I mean, we love short films. I think our audiences have grown to love them. I mean, when I first started this, I thought animated was like cartoons, and there's some of the most powerful statements made in animated films. I've just been blown away by what we've gotten over the years, and and in the narrative shorts, I would.
So what do you look for, Russell? What are you looking for? Oh, shoot. Submit.
Well, of course, you keep beating me over the head. It's production value, And I will say this, if I start looking at a film, and we are true independent, we support independent filmmakers who, as are the filmmaking team, David Redman and Ashley Sabin, who used to come here.
About a dozen Sundance Awards.
Yeah, but now they're always at Sundance. We nurture them. But they said
To get the Sundance.
it's a misnomer to call independent filmmakers. They should be called dependent filmmakers.
Yes.
So we're a part of helping you dependent people to get your wings and fly, and we want to do our part, whether it's gathering you together here to mix up and bloom and do something else, or to just feel like, yeah, I need this positive reinforcement so I can go on and do this beautiful work. And what I look for beyond the stuff that, like, you know, if it sounds bad, oh God, that's just it. I'm sorry. And we've had a panel discussion on what to put your money in. I'll never forget this guy who had got a doctorate from UCLA in directing. I didn't even know there was such a thing. He said, if you have limited money, it's got to go into sound. And I'm like, you know, yeah, I mean, if the sounds, and we have had some issues there, but once you get past the production, which we almost always do, the issues of quality, the story.
Means to Rebecca, the rest of Ambassador, she's really a great programmer that thematically she puts the package together. She groups her films, if you look at her plot, that, you know, but don't ever forget, your filmmakers, they're just close to your character in your film. So we miss it sometimes. Sometimes we get some wacko. But when you write it and sit your film together, it's a lot of you in there. So we start saying, well, God, it's going to be a sensitive soul. This is going to be a, you know, and so.
We love sensitive souls too. But because we've had a few instances, and I'll just hate to say it, but it's limited to people who've moved to LA. Hollywood, and then I'm like, you know, calm down. You know, you were in Nebraska a month ago, you know. So.
Go car Oscars.
Yeah, you know, and but we appreciate that people appreciate us too, who see us as this regional volunteer festival in a community that's largely music driven, not film driven. This is an incredibly rich music region.
And some of those reasons that our attraction, particularly mine, to some of what's going on in the francophone world, is that we have remnants of that in us. You know, it's in our DNA, you know, being, French at first, I say, almost like French at first, American second, mostly. And so we have some of that that's connected. I think it's a little hook for the people. I never asked that, but I think it is for y'all coming here. There's some.
The francophone connection.
You know, we're far away, but we're closely related.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in some way.
Well, when Pat was asked, this is the other thing that we find with you all, is we just look at y'all in awe that you have so much support from institutions in Canada for filmmaking and film festivals.
But compared to them, we do.
Compared to us,
Compared to you, like, it's.
yeah, and I know it varies.
So 1, 2, 3, we're still at third place.
Yeah.
We're like minus 20 because we just don't.
We didn't go to fifth or Quebec, all the government money, or we came on cinema on the Bayou.
Or our money, yeah. And
Y'all here on that kind of help.
I know y'all have issues, and we've heard some of those, but those are good issues to have as opposed to no government support or no.
Nowhere.
But we're anyways. Sometimes I like no government support because I don't have anyone telling us what to screen or not. You know.
You don't have reports.
No
And you
report.
don't have reports to do.
Taxes maybe, but
You know, so sometimes Pat's like, well, do you want to try to see if you can spend, 200 hours getting that grant? And I'm like, no, I'll just pay for it. You know, it's just, and we do,
Oh, geez.
oh no, but we do really look for stimulating topics and issues. You get past its great production value, whatever it is. Then you want a good story, you want it to be compelling, and I mean, just hit you, you know, and I have seen that so much in the narrative shorts, which are my personal favorite, and I just really love that. The problem is sometimes, I mean, there are films, we could have had a whole nother film festival with the films we didn't accept. The problem is we're finite, and then if you have, sometimes thematically there are films, of course we've had films on the COVID stuff, we've had but with some years we have films on old people. And then some year, you know, people dying or whatever. Or some years we have, we seem to have a lot of films on first love angst, you know, which I'm way over, so that's not my. I'm like, oh, not another breakup film. I don't want to watch it, you know.
Rick Brasher, what you came out with about lots of people. This over here. Oh. So, when you got your official selection letter, how do you feel? Is that good?
Absolutely.
In the world, the hardest thing in the world, it's right before Christmas. 'Cause we don't spend Saturday night, Christmas, holidays, and New Year's. We work through it all. There's no vacation. There's no take off. We're off. That's what.
I don't even remember Christmas or New Year's. It's all similar.
It's the hardest thing for me because I got to them out rejection that hundreds of people writing the rest.
Yeah.
Who has not been rejected?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About 12
Yeah.
before Christmas.
Yeah. That's heartbreaking. Yeah.
Seriously, the worst
It
day in
is.
a programmer's life
Yeah.
year is
Yeah.
whenever you get a selection letter, just think that 5 people got a rejection letter.
Even more.
That's a terrible.
Yes.
It's not fun rejecting movies.
Yeah.
Really not. Because sometimes they're really good. We could have
Yeah.
sure, but
Like our short list.
Rejection letters. I'm telling you, I still have a hard time. It's so hard.
We'll even put it off. We'll say, well, maybe there's a way we can fit in some of these films. And then they're like, what's going on with y'all? And we're like, we just don't want to send you a rejection letter, you know, but we don't have the room, you know. And
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure. Okay, so maybe everyone for your individual festivals could wait. So what is the process of, so you get 10,000, short film submissions. How many people are watching it to make the selections? Is it just one person? Hopefully not. How do you ensure that you're watching all of them? And what is your system to remember that film and go back and say, oh, I really love that film? Like after, when you get to the 10,000th one, to go back to number one and be like, do I remember what I watched?
yes.
I mean, I had that problem in my line of work, and I watch a lot of videos, and I have to have a system of grading to know what to go back to and remember what I like. So, how does that work? And are you watching all films?
We are. I was. At my festival, we were watching all the films. No doubt about that. We're using the same platform in Quebec. It's called
Zone Festival.
We're switching though.
Okay, you're switching, but we're using a platform that's made for film festivals, and so it's a bit like Film Freeway, but a bit different. And I have for feature films and feature doc, it was only me, the director, and my employees, the other people in the programming department. But for shorts, because we were getting so many, as you said, like 1,000, 2,000, and they selecting 150. So I had people watch them. So I could send, with Zone Festival, I could send them a link, and they would like give their, just like Film Freeway. I don't know if you've ever seen Film Freeway. They will give their appreciation, a yes, no, and they would write a very short why they like it, why they don't. And after that, we would get all the green lighted one. And we would meet for a day or two. They would come over at the office in the evening. I would pay for dinner, and we will just debate and talk and vote.
Yeah.
Who are those people?
People in the community, in the cinema community in Quebec City, people I knew that were close to me. Sometimes I had to go to Montreal because I used to live in Montreal and work for a different ages. Yeah, or people who are programmers for other festivals. I even had a lady in France who was doing that for me too. So
At distance,
at
like
distance,
yeah,
yes. And she was also scouting for films.
Yeah.
For me. Because there are two ways for us to have movies. So we invite films. So we go to other festivals, we see a good film, say, hey, we want to. And we have some missions.
Perfect.
And I'd say that submitted movies had good chances to make my festival. Because let's be honest, some festivals, they just want your money.
Okay.
You know, and they don't
The
watch.
profit.
But I assure you, in Quebec and
that's true.
FIFA, we were watching them all.
Yeah.
But of course, I didn't watch every one of them. But I was there when they were debating, and if sometimes I'd say about 10% of the film, it's obvious we don't want them. 10%.
For sure want.
For sure. So we have an 80% there that we have to debate,
Yeah.
and we need 50% of them.
What Bill said, I don't care what festival you are, the truth is that when you have a lot of submissions come in, you know when you're watching a movie, normally you know within 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So this is not going to make it. And often it's production value. Yeah, that's the way we're given a chance to get roast.
I don't know.
Or it just doesn't fit your festival. Because Abby said it yesterday. I don't know if you were here, but before when you're festival shopping, just don't send your film to every festival. You see that, or either it's cheap to apply or it's free.
And
Just look at their
For us, it's the
proposal.
first
I was sitting there like that.
Yes.
If you were there, you heard me said that we do it in three years. Get a lot of submissions, and we do look at all of them. Rebecca actually looks looks at all of them.
Yeah.
But we have a screening committee that we send them out, and we base our screening committee on people. That's why when you go to the festival for us, is that we take you guys. I would mention, and was a winner of a feature film. He's not judging, but before he was on the screening committee. So you guys are here now, probably up on the screening committee if you want to. So we've taken alums. We know you. We know you work.
Right.
And then you work into a place where you judge. Bill has screened films for us. He judges.
Yeah.
And so we have 3 tiers of doing it. So all your films are looked at all the way. And
I would say that first check is that since our big festival is so specific, we receive a lot of submission on Film Freeway that are not even eligible. So the first tip, please read before you submit a film, because you can end up submitting for a festival we are not eligible to. And for us, we're not wasting our time because Mary is our only programmer. We don't have a budget to hire a full committee because we believe that, if people give their time, we should find a way to compensate them. It's important for us. So usually the first filter is just like, okay, your film is from Iran, it's not eligible, we're not gonna even watch it because it doesn't fit our criteria. So that's the first filter. Then after that, Maryse receives all the film, we try to watch them all, and as Bill was saying, first selection with Film Freeway or other options, you can, take notes and see, try to remember where you were at. And what we want to implement this year is have a group of people with us to just have a second look on some films to make sure that they're aligned with our mission or our vision for our festival. And then, as you were saying, it's, there's the ones that you know for sure that you want, the ones that you know for sure that are not a fit, and it's how to have the others fit. And sometimes it's not because it's not good, it's just that you've seen this film the year before. It's like the same type of subject, and you're like, well, we've had something similar already, so for this year, we want to look into something else.
Yeah.
Sometimes the line is very thin, and that's always for those films that is the most heartbreaking because you would like to be able to present them, but it's just not working this year.
Yeah. Because we're a smaller festival and we hope to receive more and more submissions, but right now we receive about 500 short films. So And we did hire somebody to help me through the pre-selection to make sure everything was being watched, but it's almost addictive. Like, I don't want that person to take my place. I like want to see them all. I want to see at least the first 5 minutes of these short films and read the synopsis and have an idea of the, like, everything that's being done that year. Like, and that's when it gets exciting too. Like, you see things that are being done. Like, this year it was like dogs. Like, I didn't go that direction, but there was so many films about dogs. Like, it was just like, and it was, some were heartbreaking. There was a lot of films about animal abuse. So anyway, I didn't go that direction, but it's just sometimes that'll actually feed your, like, your direction, like, of like where you're gonna go. And it's like, again, there's like a 50% or a 40% that's like so good that but you have to let go of like a lot of so many good films. And look, the films that I remember the most are the films that I didn't take, and I'm like, oh, that film, oh my God, that film.
I would add two things. In my comedy, there were each film short were seen by two people. So it was not just one people debating with the rest of us not having seen the film.
Right, like two
They were
people.
seen by two, at least two people.
Same here.
Every film was seen by two people.
Every film was looked at for us.
And and you said at the very beginning, how can you remember the one that are sent at the beginning of the call of entry and everything? You know what? They're the one I remember the most.
Yeah.
Because you guys wait for the last minute to send the film. So at the end of the call of entry,
You're burned out.
we have so many to watch, so we just watch and I watch them while I eat breakfast, supper, dinner, all the time.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, I have time because it's coming in so slowly.
Right.
That's why I use the early bird rates too.
Yeah.
So I want you guys to send your film as soon as possible, so we can spread out the. Because at the end we're just watching, and I think that's not good because we were seeing so many movies in a row that we get fed up. I mean, of watching movies, and that maybe
You better be able to cut the mustard
Yeah.
when you get to that tired point of just seeing a lot of films, and what Bill's saying is so true. But there's another level like people forget about. Once you're accepted, you need to do what they said over there is read what we want. With that, things like this year, Bill was a print traffic manager, and he was in Quebec City. And I got one email, and she made it. I'm not going to name it, but she said, "Well," I said, "We need you. You're this place, this venue. We need this type of file download to stream exhibition copy." And she said, "Well, I never heard that." Well, I knew, saw there from the letter, and she said, "I never got a letter." And I said, "Well, how did you know your film was officially selected?" That's the bottom of the letter. Tells you who to contact, what you get so excited about that your official selection. You all read the rest. Read all the information to us. It causes a lot of anxiety
Right.
with downloading films
And it's not the case for us, but some festival like ask for a premiere, like a local premiere, regional premiere. So that's part of the criteria that you really have to take, like to be careful for, because if you're not eligible, then it's an automatic no for the
Yeah, and you're paying $20 for
and you
nothing.
paid for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a question? Yeah.
Yes, it's
Yeah, I had a quick question. You kind of touched on this a little bit, but do you have any advice? Maybe there's no answer in this about how to evaluate festivals as to whether they are serious about filmmaking as opposed to just making money.
Yeah.
Word of mouth.
Yeah, reputation.
Like I like that what Avi and Pat were saying yesterday is just like go on their website and check what films have been selected the year before.
what played last year, what
Yeah.
year before last.
Yeah.
And can you be that great up to there?
And that may sound stupid, but make sure they have live screenings.
Yeah.
Because there are like those festivals that don't have screenings. They're just taking your money and sending you a certificate.
Yeah, we were talking about film for
Yesterday.
Especially on film.
First of all, a website. When you go on Film Freeway, a lot of festivals there don't even have an actual website. They just have a Film Freeway page. For me, that's the first red flag. And then
Sometimes in California, but they're somewhere else in the their address is somewhere else.
It's like
That's a kind
similar name to a big festival.
Yes.
That's a red flag. I've done interviews about Film Fairway. There's probably gonna be something like on
Like the Cannes,
the,
Cannes Shorts or Cannes Summer Festival.
It's not.
so that's a
Short lead times between submission dates and the actual fest.
and
Yeah.
so the website.
Yeah, because it takes 6 months, like to receive and to analyze, like for sure 5 to 6 months.
festival if they're taking submissions at the last minute. I mean, if you go a month or 2 months away, that's bullshit.
And
Yeah.
I often use like this. There are some exceptions. Like in Canada, there is a film festival that happens exclusively on Facebook.
Yeah.
But they've been recognized. They have a track record. So you would just read a bit. So website, if like it's an original name or location and doesn't sound too much like something that already exists. And also, like you were mentioning, screenings in person, most of them, some have weekly screenings in front of like weird type of audience. Like that's also a red flag. And if they give out like
Tons
prizes
of awards.
without mentioning a jury, or if you're not sure like how they give out the prizes, that's another red flag.
Yeah. Some other red flags, if they have too many prizes, too
Yeah.
many awards with 70,
Yeah.
Yeah.
more prizes than they got.
No.
Or
Yeah.
if you have your notification date like 3 days before the festival,
C'est ça.
obviously they don't expect
Yeah.
you're going to travel there.
Yeah.
So
C'est ça.
they're not really serious about it.
Yeah.
That's why filmmakers tell them to, interact with the audience.
Yeah.
If you get to judging, it's a different animal. The way festivals choose their jury, they judge it. And so you look into that too.
Yeah. Some of them on Film Freeway now say how many submissions they have. Like how many.
Oh, do you?
Right. Also, they don't have even if they say it's live, unless they have a theater listed on it.
Oui, c'est ça. Or a website that explains their mission or their vision or whatever, right? Like.
Yeah, we've had there's some filmmakers we know that just applied to everything and got so many prizes, and it's.
Let's not name any names.
No, I was not naming names. It's just like it's heartbreaking because sometimes when people I feel like it's a trap because people in the industry know about what's happening with those fake festivals, and when they see that, it plays against you.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't say this. I'm maybe chiming in too much, but it's not about the awards. Because you winners, if you're here right now, this festival, you're in this festival, you'll win.
Yeah. Yeah. Same with us. It's like, it's such an experience, right?
Then we turn it over to the judges. I'm sure we're all the same way to our jurors, and they select. Not the back.
And I also feel like it's about being strategic with the festivals that you apply to and what festival is going to be the best for your film.
Yeah.
Like there are certain, like for example, for genre films, there are certain festivals that, even A-list or B-list, that if you're going to be in that festival, that's going to mean something for your film. And that's the ones that you want.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the most renowned, but the one that's going to bring something to your career and your film's career.
In 20 years, you could count the art pictures that we've screened here almost on one app. This week, we're not.
It's really not our thing.
Not against.
No. Unless they're short films,
Yeah.
we really are not into
Yeah.
horror feature.
I think there was a question.
Yeah. I'd love your opinion on, because for example, for me, I'm building a production company. So having the stamps in the passport to build the track record, to go from artist to production company, to access additional funding sources, to, a business model that allows me to do to other countries and other yada yada. There's the festival game has a purpose. I think what triggered this thought was you saying how does it help you grow your career? What if you don't have a festival film? Let's say, I'm sorry, I'm gonna pick on you because I loved your movie yesterday, and it was so great to see this movie on a Saturday night. And as I told them, it's this is a movie that is worth someone getting a babysitter and spending, $60 on 2 tickets and popcorn. There's a really great tell many. Also a great example of, I can see festival, you know, it's not about euthanasia, right? It's like a good time in the movies. So like how might you suggest filmmakers? Do you know what I mean? Like how might you suggest that filmmakers also navigate identifying what type of film they have, what type of filmmaker they are, and how should they navigate the relationship with film festivals if they even should have one?
I mean, it depends what you're doing it for. Like if it's a business, it's different because then you're thinking about the profit at the end. But a good filmmaker is telling a story, like Avi was saying yesterday. It's like we're looking for different perspectives. We're looking for your unique perspective. And so if you're just making movies to make movies, it's probably not going to speak to us as much as like your story or like your, you know, your aunt's story or your like country's like specific fauna and flora. Like, I don't know what, like, you know, it's like, so the business model doesn't really, like it happens at the same time for sure, but I don't know to which extent you want to base your production or your creation process.
And it's like to say, I feel it's the connections. Like you're traveling to a festival, like you're gonna meet people. You're gonna meet people from other festivals. It's who you talk to, and just like trying to target. Like the more you're in the industry, I feel like the more you're gonna know like-minded festivals or like-minded individuals, and then be able to navigate that. I'm sorry, I don't have like an easy solution to offer.
Yeah.
That's why, like, when you can get a distributor, that helps because they know the different festivals, because they've built this network over the years, so they have an idea of what you can do with your film. But if you're independent and you don't have a distributor, it's all about the connections, getting to know the industry, and with your experience, trying to like gauge where you're at and for which festivals you can aim.
Yeah,
So maybe a more specific example, like talking about feature films is a little easier because there's a bigger market. Like I have a friend who made a $40,000 feature, sold it directly to Mongrel for a ton of money. Now he's working on a second feature. It didn't get into any festivals. He spent like thousands of dollars, and that's I think a great example of a movie that was very successful. Both financially for him as a filmmaker, independent producer, and to a very broad Canadian audience. It's on Crave. But he spent a lot of money because he was tied to that hope and dream of getting into festivals. And it seems almost like there's an opportunity to figure out for some filmmakers, like, you don't have a festival film. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That could actually be...
no.
Yeah, what's a festival film? It depends on the festival. You know, I'm like, what's a festival film? I don't think there's such a thing as a festival film. Because every festival has a different mission.
Listen.
And maybe it's not a TIFF film. Maybe it's not one of the big biggest festival that, you know, which festival are looking for what. You know, there are some that are like specialized in independent, sometimes weird content, and for them, like, this film could be a festival film, but not for the next person, you know. So it's really hard to answer that question because I feel like every festival is different.
You know what I'll say, but when I'm looking, first of all, the more information on Film Freeway for me, the better. You cannot put too much information on Film Freeway. You can even have a long director's statement. I'm not saying we'll use all that, but I like it. If you want to do a cover letter, you know, the thing that gets me is when they say, I ran into so-and-so at this festival and they said my film would be good for your festival. And I'm like, oh, you know, I love that. We love that. But also, if you're like, we don't have a bunch of distributors here. This is your film festival, and we're trying, as I said to somebody last night, we just want to create a space where you can all comfortably interact and something can come of it that's going to be beautiful. Maybe 5 years from now, whatever, it doesn't matter. And we're not trying to get your production company to succeed. We're trying to get you, your heart and soul, to do something that may not be economically feasible, but is going to be beautiful. So that's what I feel we're about. And the more information I have on Film Freeway, the more I can get that sense of things. And honestly, I love it when I see a film with lots of awards, but I'm looking for the person who's not, you know, the littlest angel.
Yeah.
you
And
know.
that's where we're the most happy when there's a film that we got at our festival. I think of an example, like it's an Ontario film called Rosie by Gil Morris. It's bilingual, and I think we're one of their like first festival awards and selection, and we're so happy for them that they won against some bigger films from big. It was in our Canadian competition, so against bigger Quebec filmmakers, and that's the ones we won, the gem that kind of speak to our jury, even though they were like, you know, like outsiders or runner-ups, or like, you know, it's for us, it's the best when there's a film that no one picked before us and that's getting recognition.
Yeah, because we program.
For us, they don't all get into our jury like that, but when we select them, we do select them with that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, who's going to benefit the most from our festival, you know?
We went to FICFA, you know, like Bonjour, Switzerland, had been submitted to us months and months before you was playing at FICFA. And it didn't get nominated in the feature. Okay? So that third tier, we don't do.
Well, and the other thing we look for, I'll just say this: we favor our alums.
Oh God! Yeah.
We really do.
Once we saw your face. Yeah.
Because we're one big family here, y'all, and now you're part of the
And it
family.
keeps growing.
That's true for most,
Is it? Yeah.
especially Ken. I mean,
Yeah.
look at Ken every year.
But I mean, our alum is not, you know, Hollywood alums.
No.
I mean, our peeps.
Yeah,
Well-
they become like Hollywood alums, but it's like, I feel like, because I guess like smaller festivals, like we're not Cannes, we're not Sundance, it's just like, we're kind of the stepping stone of like potential and just like pure creative like machine, you know, it's not like a money machine, it's a creation machine. And so, but our festival also caters to like sometimes maybe a public that's not savvy all the time. Like it's a bit of a mix of a public, so we definitely try to get a bit of.
It's a smaller city, so like it's like our audience, a lot of them are like 60 plus, like seniors that haven't been coming to the festival for a long time, and so we know what they're gonna like.
Yeah, so we cater a bit to them, but then we also I for sure
Trying to like bring
something new, something fresh. I try to do a bit of both, you know, like the cater to the public, but also what can challenge the public, you know. Anyway.
I think there was a question.
Yeah.
Question, Rebecca, you mentioned yesterday afternoon at one of the talkbacks that you'd love to be an Oscar-eligible festival. I'm just curious what is involved in getting you to that status.
Well, it's a lot, and then it gets scary. You know, like we have with the first, when Pat said let's go from 4 to 8 days, it's like, because I don't want us to be this big personal film festival.
And just to tell you right here, what makes a little different for us, we don't gear it to the Lafayette or this region's art. We really gear it to filmmakers, and because Lafayette is not, and I don't think these are overly cinema towns or villages and stuff. So our audience is also the filmmakers. It's the primary go for. When you get the people coming in, that's wonderful. We have like a festival goers. There are some people over here, I don't think they never missed a film festival. We have
For 20 years,
for 20 years. They get all access passes. You know, you'll see them around. You can't be at every film because they're different going on, but they're going to be here. We know that. But we don't select films for them. We select films for you.
True.
Yeah.
And we hope that networking that happens when you're
Yeah, and I was the other way around. I was always thinking about my general public.
Yeah.
That lady in that part and that neighborhood. I wanted her to come, and so.
Me too. I do both. It's so intense how we do both, because in small spaces we actually know that lady. Like we actually know what she likes.
well, we know
Yeah,
if there's a music-driven or music-related film,
it might work better.
they're gonna like it here.
Yeah.
You know,
Same
but
for
that's
us.
not all we do.
Yeah.
But to go back to your question, Gavin, maybe also you guys could try to aim at festival with markets.
Yeah.
I know they are. In feature films, it's easier, but let's talk short films like the Clermont-Ferrand Film Festival in France. I mean, send your movie there because there's a huge market. It's the biggest market
That's
in the
the
world
venue
for
for
short
you.
films.
Yeah.
And even if I'm in the industry and I go there, I buy my industry pass to go to Clermont-Ferrand. We get, I don't know if they still do it, but when I was going, they would do it. So we get access to their library. So everything they receive, even the rejected films, I could watch them back home online. So
That's cool.
Because actually, I'm in the buckets.
you're in so they're rejected, but you're still so you yeah. So
But I assume no one watches them.
no,
It's good to hear that because I just.
no. We do
And-
watch them.
No one's watching.
It's like bang for your buck. It's true that not everybody's watching it, but there is 4 or 5 people, and those are the 4 or 5 people you want to.
That's
Yeah.
why I was like, be
Yeah.
strategic, and you know, even though you think like, oh, my film might not get in Clermont, you can dream. You know, you can have a like bucket list, and it all depends on your budget, right? Don't spend hundreds, thousands of dollars on submission fees. That you can still target like a couple ones that are like during festivals that. If stars align and like it's the right person seeing it at the right time, it's gonna work. So aim for those as well, because you never know.
Yeah.
Then you just got to figure that all out. I guess again bragging about our festival that we have this track record of them submitting to us some kind of way. If you like the one that was nominated 2 days ago for an Academy Award, they sent it to us for a reason, you know. And if we feel like we did something a little push, even if we're not really, and we haven't tried to be Oscar qualified, but we will be because
We just feel like we have a strong category to answer your question, but and there are some regional festivals that they've made Oscar qualifying, and we feel like we have a unique spot. I mean, but New Orleans is Oscar qualifying for narrative shorts, so they may think we're too close to them, you know. Yeah.
Probably.
But we've had people tell us, a lot of people and judges and people who like Academy Awards, saying that it's a festival that they're looking at. I'm not saying the Academy's looking at, but the filmmakers are looking at. That you all have to check out Cinema On The Bayou to submit to their.
Well, and
It was an easy way to get in. It's not. It's not.
well, and let me say, because of my baby being the narrative shorts, we watch them all. I watch them all, and then when the tough decisions are made, Pat will watch with me. We do that, but I mainly do it, and I take extensive notes on every film.
Yeah.
And if they have a cover letter that says, you know, I've always loved Louisiana, you know, something that speaks to me, I'll make notes of that. We usually show between 30 and 50 French language films, usually closer to 50. That's part of who we are. So if it's French language, I know that and I want it. And so we make lots of notes and, you know, I have a little star system. And, but then some jewel pop up that maybe, like you said, at the last minute we got and they paid our late fee and we're like, wow, where did this come from? But I watch them all make.
The film from the Netherlands that was nominated this year, it came in earlier than late, but it was that, and it wasn't from the package that we think. We're narrative shorts, if it's coming out of Quebec, we expect it to look good because they exist, and the other place is Japan.
Japan narrative shorts are really good.
Narrative short films are so high end and so beautiful. So y'all competing against those films.
Yes. I just want to clarify something about Quebec because you mentioned the production company and you asked me a similar question, so I think we'll talk about it later. But you need a production company in Quebec to access a lot of that funding. So it is actually more like the studio system.
Yeah.
There are arts council.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's very.
I didn't know that.
And that's, but they don't have that in Acadie.
Yeah.
We know that. So it's coming out of that, we got a lieutenant more careful. If they're coming out of Quebec, you better have some heat because you got so much coming up, production value. And a lot of short film. And you've seen them this year, we see it every year.
There's so many. Like, it was my first year, and I was just so, like, overwhelmed with the quality of francophone from Quebec cinema.
With that coming out where you're from, because we look at those films and they've never a lot, but I know them all. And I know the filmmakers. Same with Louisiana. We try to, we want to embrace them, but sometimes they're not on the level it's coming in certain regions. It's so obvious what is. It's funding. It's what
Yeah.
you there.
I'm gonna need to go. We need to get the animated started.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and our guys here too.
And we're always here to talk for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's great.